Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revenants Gaming. This is Loghain F once again. We are looking at part two of the first Final Fantasy, the Pixel Remastered. Um, as you can see, last part we beat Garland, and the king sent us on our quest and prepare for the most dramatic bridge building you will see for a while, probably. I'm sure there exist others, but. All right, so now we can continue on. First, we're going to go back to the Chaos Shrine because there were some items I did not pick up when I went there the first time. I should probably also notice, you're going to notice the editing is real choppy in this part, and that's because I kind of had a thing where I basically pulled. If you're familiar with the Greek legend of Icarus and Daedalus, you'll remember basically that Daedalus made wings for him and Icarus to escape a prison. Well, Icarus was so comfortable flying that he's like, I bet I can fly even higher. And eventually he flew too close to the sun and died. Um, so I basically had the same mentality when it came to how much footage I recorded, how far I got. But I forgot how much time I actually had left in the video. Now, you're probably going to notice I do not include random encounters other than that one. And the reason I included that one was because I couldn't get away from that random encounter time, so I didn't want me to be poisoned for no reason. So that editing's gonna be choppy because I didn't know how to do seamless edits of the random encounters. This is all a learning process for me. I haven't edited since high school, so yeah. Basically, I recorded too much footage. I had over almost an hour's worth of footage for this part, and it took me quite some time to edit it out. And really, I should have edited this part out too, now that I think about it, where I go to doors that we cannot open yet because they require the magical key, which we'll get relatively soon. So, yeah. Um, this part's not going to have much excitement. So, I guess I'm going to take this time to talk about my experience with Final Fantasy and what the series means to me and what it means to others. So, Final Fantasy, for those who aren't aware, was originally Square's swan song, basically, or it was originally going to be their swan song because Square had a few games under its belt before Final Fantasy, but they weren't huge successes. So, Final Fantasy was the sort of okay, we're going to go all in, and if we fail, then I guess that's it. That's not where it was called Final Fantasy necessarily. From what I watched a retrospective that summed it up best, that said, no, the game had to have fantasy in the title, but Final just sounded, I don't know, different. So, yeah, and Final Fantasy for the time was very groundbreaking. So, Square was able to capitalize on it, and now we have the beloved franchise today. All right, now for the bridge crossing. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you should be able to read this just fine. Basically, it's just standard. We're going on the quest. Basically, again, Final Fantasy One, not the most involved story, so it's easy to just not get engrossed in it all. Probably worse so when I'm talking, but yeah. Yeah, this part, the gameplay in this part, like Carl gave me an earful. The gameplay is not very good. It's mostly story based and walking. But yeah, yeah. This really is just reiterating things. But yeah, um, so I should probably clarify that it's no secret that one of the biggest things of the late 20th century was Sega's rivalry with Nintendo. Basically, Nintendo had this thing where they had a beloved franchise and Sega kind of had a counter to it. Well, around the time Final Fantasy was released, I don't know exactly what came first. Sega had Phantasy Star, and in the 2D era, there were 4 Phantasy Star games and 6 main Final Fantasy games. I might as well just get this out of the way before I go any further and just talk about Phantasy Star. I'm not sure if there's a PC port. Shows how well researched I am, but the original Phantasy Star is not. It has aged about as well as 1 month old expired milk. It is a very. It gave me a migraine when I was playing it because of how many aspects were so dated, and the battle system was just so archaic. And I mean, but it has its place. It has its place. But the first Final Fantasy, as flawed as it is, it's inherently an easier play. It's if I were to use a ranking, I'd rate the original Phantasy Star maybe a C minus or D if I'm feeling generous. Yeah, this sounds like I'm unappreciative of a classic, but yeah. First Final Fantasy, I never played the original, which I heard is it very janky because a lot of the spells just straight up don't work. So, yeah, as you can see, we got to find Matoya's eye for something that hasn't been said yet. But yeah, Final Fantasy the original, I'd say it's in the B minus range. I know that we're reaching the day and age where game rankings are cheap and they make it to where people don't pay attention to the whole review, but it's a tradition and some traditions are kept alive. I'm sure everybody knows, people who come from all sorts of families. We all have traditions that we realize, we don't understand what the point of the tradition is, but we keep it alive. It's just all we know. And game ratings are one thing. We of course have plenty of YouTube reviewers that keep it that put game rankings out of pocket, but I'm tradition. I'm real traditional, so I grew up with game ratings, so I'm going to use game ratings. Yeah, I'm just giving you guys a forewarning. When we get to Final Fantasy 2, with Final Fantasy 1, I'm just going to have to come up with random topics like over the course of this because I don't really have a whole lot to say about the original Final Fantasy. It's a solid Pixel Remaster. It's a solid game, but it just doesn't have a whole lot to discuss, in my opinion. I mean, if I was playing the original, I'd inevitably just start complaining that a lot of the spells didn't work. Okay, so here we have a mini-boss. This is ultimately where I probably should have stopped the recording, fighting this, because this technically is considered a boss. And I should have included some grinding sessions. And okay, so first major mistake in gameplay that you will see, other than me getting poisoned. I forgot that I've been spoiled by the sequels, auto replenishing health and magic points, that I forgot that the original Final Fantasy, you have to do everything manually. So I went into this fight thinking good old Carl, the Black Mage, had all his spell charges. He did not, so this particular battle doesn't have a whole lot of flair to it, and yeah, we beat a bunch of pirates. Yeah. And now we got a ship. Our first form of sort of fast travel. Not as effective as what we get later, but it serves its purpose. You'll notice there's a recurring theme with Final Fantasy of we get our own source of transportation for areas we can't get to on foot, and then by the end we have something that can get us anywhere, typically an airship. So yeah, I apologize if my voice sounds a bit groggy. I woke up this morning sick as a dog, but show must go on, so they say. All right, so as you notice, this is where I cut a lot of things out. Like most of the footage I cut out were grinding sessions. So you're gonna notice the gill like just goes all over the place. So first thing I got was the scimitar, which was for the which is for the thief, and got the leather armor. You know, I got the armor upgrades for you know, for the thief and the warrior. You know, I gave everybody leather gloves. The knight got the iron armor because let's see, the leather shield knight also. Well, no, not the knight, the warrior. You get the knight later. Spoiler. You got the shield, and that pretty much covers that. And also, you'll notice I did get the battle axe, which it represented kind of a choice. Do I want to get the scimitar, which has lower attack but better accuracy, or do I want the battle axe, which has higher accuracy but lower, that has lower accuracy but higher attack? So yeah, the spells I get Temper, which raises attack, Blizzard, which is an ice spell, Slow, I think, because it lowers enemy speed. That's what I get for the Black Mage. For the White Mage, I got Silence, which makes it to where if it's successful, and oh lord, I should have caught that. Silence, which makes it to where the enemy can't cast spells. Null Shock, which reduces lightning damage, and also, let's see, what else did I get? I'm trying to, I forgot, I wasn't paying too attention. So yeah, those are the, oh yeah, and Blind, which cures blindness. Which Blind is a status ailment that lowers your physical accuracy. So yeah. That there's not a whole lot to discuss here. So we just did a lot of walking, and I'm sorry, I just rambled because I like discussing game history and whatnot. So yeah, the original Phantasy Star 2. I'll get into that more probably next part when I have more time or at some point. But yeah, this was mainly just to distract from the fact that the gameplay footage I had was not very good. I hope the next part is a whole lot more entertaining. Here, I just ramble, so later, everybody.